What's up, everybody? My name is Barfield. This is Unscripted, and today we're going to be talking about seasonal depression. I have Askia Stewart here with me. Askia, tell them about yourself.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? As you said, my name is Askia Stewart Jr. I'm a local Phoenician. I've been born and raised here in Phoenix for the last 21 years, and I don't know how to describe myself. I'd say I'm a content creator. I do photo, video, digital media, branding stuff. And then I also am really active in my church around here. I go to the historic Tanner Chapel AME Church, where I am the president of the young adult ministry. And yeah, man, I'm a son, I'm a brother, a cousin.
Not a father yet.
Not
Don't
a father
worry,
yet.
ladies.
Not yet. And so I try to take those roles as seriously as I possibly can, because those things aren't light. And so those things definitely tend to be jobs as well, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to tend to those, and so I'm definitely I take those things seriously. So
Yeah, definitely feel that, man.
occupations as well.
Yeah. So yeah, Askia definitely been a brother. That's for sure. I've known him since middle school, high school.
High school, I think.
Yeah, like high school.
Yeah. I think Desert Vista football.
Yeah, Desert Vista football. You know, we just connected through there and lived in the same neighborhood and just been doing the same stuff around each other for the longest time now. So today we're gonna be talking about seasonal depression, and we're just gonna let you guys, get a feel of what that really means and what that can truly do to a person, how it affects somebody, and whether they go through it or not, how other people can interpret it. So to start it off, seasonal depression, that's a big thing.
It's huge.
It's something that a lot of people take lightly.
I think the whole conversation around mental health is something that gets taken less seriously than it ought to be.
Yeah.
For how serious the problem is, and I think seasonal depression obviously is a caveat of that. It's a section of mental illness, and I think I think it needs to be talked about more. So
yeah.
I think this is a good thing. What you're doing here, I think it's good.
I appreciate that, man. And it definitely during the holiday season, during Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, it goes in between October and to all the way probably February, I would say, and I think those holiday seasons for people that not only deal with clinical depression and major depression, I think those people that just feel that loneliness and that sadness, I think it affects them. It affects how they go about their day. It affects how they go about their Christmases, how they open presents, or their Thanksgivings, how they, might not have a family.
Everything's hyper.
Exactly. Everything, that's a perfect point. Everything's so hyperactive. Everything got go. This is what it is, you know what I'm saying? You don't got a family? Oh, come on.
That's how it's supposed to, that's how it's portrayed as it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be this wonderful, joyous time. And you're right, I think for a lot of people it tends to not be good, or as good as it's supposed to be, right? And so I feel especially if you're dealing with clinical depression, that's something
that piles on top of it, and then
snowballed.
Yeah, exactly. It just, you see all this joy around you.
Yeah.
You see all the outside, and you just see all these people smiling, everybody enjoying their families, everybody coming home for the holidays.
Right.
But then once you kind of kick it back to yourself, you're who do I really have? What am I actually doing? My personal experience having to go to different family, friends, households, and for that split moment feel a part of their family.
Right.
And then once I leave, it's okay, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So I think it's a good experience if you're able to build from it. Definitely. And I think that faith that people put not only in themselves, but whatever they believe in, or that they can find that happiness in life. I think that's the biggest thing about fighting it. Honestly, thinking that faith-based mentality is really gonna manifest that drive to get over it.
And the belief of there's light.
Yeah.
At the end of the tunnel.
Exactly.
And having some type of North Star to shoot for, I think that could really help too.
Yeah, and just the fact of never giving up. It's a cliche thing to say during, the holidays. You know what I'm saying? Santa's doing his thing, you got Thanksgiving, all the food around you, but never giving up, that's such a big thing that I think is underestimated when people go through seasonal depression.
Right.
It's how do you expect them not to give up?
Right.
You know, so
I think define like what is the definition of like seasonal depression?
Seasonal depression, like,
what is like the
in my opinion, opinion definition. And remember, it's all free talk. It's not Wikipedia. It's not Google, dictionary.com. We're not doing none of that. It's all free talk. So, my opinion, seasonal depression, it's it's definitely a form of depression. You know, it's also known as SAD. You know, and I think it not only brings that depression factor, but I think it brings the anxiety and the paranoia during the holiday seasons. You know, such as for people without loss of parents,
right,
or they don't have a family, or they're adopted, or they're away from home. You know, when I was in the military, I knew a lot of people that would go through that. They didn't know how to handle it. You know, they didn't know how to handle being away from home, especially those without families or anything like that, or they have families so far away. You know, it's the first time that they felt left out.
Right.
It's the first time that they didn't feel a part of something.
Right.
You know.
Right. And
I think that depression starts to come in when you start to realize that you are on your own
by yourself,
or that you do feel like that. Because I know a lot of people that they got families.
Everybody.
They
got
everybody.
Right.
But yet, at the end of the day, when they go to bed, they're like just sitting in their loneliness, and they're trying to understand, why do I feel this way?
Right.
What's happening? Because like you got all these people that love you and all these people that want you around.
Support.
You know,
you got a support system.
Exactly.
But
yeah,
that's still not mad. That's not fixing what's going on up here. That's not. It's not it.
Yeah, it's not it at all.
Yeah.
And that big but factor is always what I think people struggle with.
Right.
Like they go, I get to open a present, but I get to have Thanksgiving dinner with this family, but you know what I'm saying?
Right.
That but is like, I'm still sad. I'm still down.
Right.
I'm still doubting something, or I'm having paranoia about this joy that's in front of me, but how long is it going to really last?
Right.
And I think that's where that depression sets in. When people start to worry about that, they start to worry about how long is the happiness going to last, because some people feel that happiness is going to be taken away from them as soon as they can, or if they love something, that it's going to be just taken away.
Right.
That's just going to go away.
Like so they miss on like enjoying it.
Exactly.
All the time. That makes sense.
Yeah, and it makes it very hard. Again, in my opinion, it makes it very hard for people to deal with that. Because it's such a big factor that the people around them don't see, because people that feel that way want to hide it. They don't want to bring it on other people, and even when other people notice it, it's like, are you okay? It's like, yeah, I'm good, everything's fine, I'm just going through something right now. And then they step away, and like, you just go back to that sadness. You just, inside, you just feel this emptiness that can't be replaced by this Christmas joy or that Thanksgiving joy or anything like that.
Right. So then my question is, how do you think like that gets filled? Because like emptiness obviously is like, there's something like missing, or like something's not there.
Yeah, definitely.
So how do you what do you think are like some ways? Because my like obvious like quick off the rim answer is like love to some capacity, right? Because I think one way that I think about mental illness, because it's something that's starting to gain traction in conversation and everything, but like it's mental, 100%. Like it's like it is stuff that's going on in your head, right? And there's chemical imbalances and everything. But I also think at the same time, having like a solid perspective on things can assist with stabilizing the chemical imbalances that are going on. Yeah. So there's some form of thoughts, but it's like, if you have the love and the support that's there, and you feel that, like you genuinely feel that from people, then I think what that helps is start building like perspective as well, and like mental strength that can help stabilize mental illnesses instead of like being on meds and stuff. But like, being around groups of friends and like family where you really feel like this is my tribe, this is my community, probably helps, right, with feeling like that emptiness.
Yeah, it definitely helps. And I think that perspective is a huge one. Having that family around, have that love and everything like that. But, you know, when it comes to that,
because it's weird. Because like I had like a bout of like weird, crazy depression, or like I don't even know if it was. I wasn't like clinically like diagnosed or anything. But like over the summer, it got to the point where like I had to go see a therapist.
Yeah.
Like stuff was like crazy, and it was like came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And like you know me, like you know me, like you know that I have like crazy support system. You know that I have like a church behind me. You know that I have family that loves me and really, really close friends that I've grown up since kindergarten. And it's weird to be in a position where like I feel like I can't reach out to anybody.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what brings that loneliness that we're talking about.
And that's what's crazy. And it's like it all switches. And it's like I'm curious as to like, all right, so I haven't felt anything since summer because that happened over the summer. But it's like I haven't felt that, and I don't know like where that came from.
Was that like the first time?
Oh, that was 100 my first like
that you experienced
like mental illness of like what the hell is going on with my soul.
Yeah. Well, in your opinion, what do you think? Like, what do you think brought that? Like, if you had to say, it just came out of nowhere.
No idea.
That's crazy.
Literally no idea. Like nothing crazy, nothing tragic happened.
You just felt that inside of you.
Yeah. It was crazy, and I think. Well, no, I take that back. I had actually lost. You know how like deaths come in 3 or whatever. Like I actually lost like 3 people who were relatively like pretty close with, and like between the span of like February and March, over the span of like 2 weeks. So like the transition from like February to March. I lost like a friend who like I went to class with like every day. I lost someone who I grew up with in the church, and then I lost like a second or third cousin at the end. So like all the emotions from like these 2 previous came back, right, and this is in like March, right, and so my being introspective, I don't think I healed properly from that, but there were no triggers for that when this came on, which was like the weird thing. Yeah. Right. And so
usually there's triggers that lead up to it.
Obviously. Right. Exactly. That can lead up to it. And so like I literally just like woke up like one morning and was like, nah, like just not doing like just feeling this is not going to happen. Like I felt like it was just like an attack on the soul to some extent, and it's like 100%. Like I felt like my perspective was shifted, and it's like I don't want to be here. Yeah, like, I don't want to be in this state of mind. Like this isn't pleasant. This is not something that I want to be in.
That you want. It's not something that you even need.
Right.
It's like yo, I want to get out of this so bad. Like what's happening? Like you said, like it just popped up. You said, whoa. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You want to get out of it.
I was beelining to get out of it, but like I had no idea where like number one where it came from or like even how to deal with it, because it was like the first time like anything crazy like that was happening.
Yeah, and like the first time for like those situations, like you said, are so abnormal. Like they're so like out of this world when it happens, because you literally are a stranger to the feeling. Yeah, you know what I mean. You don't know how to go about it and whatnot. But would you say that it happened like immediately after you lost those?
No,
people, or like it built up over time, and then one day over the summer, like it was like bam, like here I am. Yeah. This is what's happening
for
right
sure.
Now.
Like I mean, it probably happened in like it was December. I mean, it probably happened in like right before I went to school, so like late July, and like all the deaths happened in like February. So I mean, it was like 6 months, but it's not like an accumulation of like, oh, I'm like over like I'm like really being like sorrowful, and like filled with sorrow over these deaths. Like I wasn't like just like torn up like when that eventually happened. It's not like I was spending like 6 months like bawling my eyes out, right? But I think, you know, I didn't heal properly from those deaths, and then it gets weird. Like I don't even know. Like I even sit and like even still think about it. Like,
would you say that it like affected you like with the start of the school year? Like, how did that?
Maybe. I mean, it really could have been onset of like everything like starting to build up last semester, like having to get busy again, and like that transition back into school definitely could have done it. But yeah, it was a really funky thing, and I think like it helped bring perspective to me of like, you know, like I always lean on the side of empathy or like sympathy for like people who deal with things like that, but like that was like real, and it's like, all right, like now I get it.
Yeah, yeah, like yeah,
like I really,
I for real
like,
understand now.
Understand like what that playground looks like.
Yeah, because like a lot of people don't understand it until it actually starts happening to them. Right, you know, like you just said, like you didn't, you know, might not understood it for like, oh, okay, like I can get it, I can empathize with it and whatnot. Right. But then once it happened to you, you're like, oh, yeah, right. It was like
I get what you're messing with. Like,
yeah,
I understand it and I respect it. But on the same time, I think like also a lot of that played into like perspective. Also, like my perspective on things, I don't think was as strong as like. There may have been some things deeper inside of me that could have been worked on, that could have helped shifted the way that I was thinking at that moment in time too. So like having actually like come off of the peak of it all, right, and kind of like, all right, now I'm like leveled out. I have like my stuff going on. Like I started some stuff up recently, and like being able to like refocus that energy. I've now like kind of had clarity about that whole situation in the sense of like, okay, maybe, you know, there are some things like maybe, you know, getting rid of like a sense of entitlement or like getting rid of like, you know, appreciating things more, right, can help like stabilize like, oh no, like my family is here, I have food on the table, like clothes on my back, and like really, really like believing those things could like, okay, you know, maybe like there's some things I can like look towards in those times that are brighter than whatever it is going on right now. Like maybe I can set North Stars of like, okay, if I am to ever experience that again, like try and find a loop of positivity that you're like running through your head again.
Yeah,
right?
you so try to get circulating.
That, like you try and like jump back on that train. So I guess that could be like a tip or something, but you know what I'm saying? Like, like when in these moments of clarity, because like I felt really, really good over the past like 2 days. Like my serotonin levels, I feel like they're like through the roof. Yeah. And I felt really, really good. But maybe it's like during these times now where it's like, okay, let's try and create these loops deep within myself.
So that when you experience that depression again, that you can be like, oh, they're there. I know they're there. You know, that loop that you're talking about. So now it's time to like call a friend or something like at this moment in time. Like this is when, because that was like the weirdest thing for me. It's like my friends and I, family, we all have great like relationships, but it's like in that moment in time, I didn't feel like I could reach out to anybody. And number one, I don't know if it's like the type of person that I am, but like I didn't feel like I could like almost burden or like people want to understand, like I don't like it was just weird. It was like a weird, like I have no idea, like and that obviously goes to loneliness and like that snowballs everything, but like it definitely was like it felt like a season of depression in a sense. And it's like it was never clinically diagnosed, but like it was deep. It was something that was deep.
Life.
And like the fact that you said that, you know, you felt like a burden, you know, trying to reach out to people. I think that's the biggest thing for real. Like that's what really you feel like when you start feeling that depression. You know, and even like during the holidays and whatnot, like you feel like you're a burden because like even though you might be portraying this joy to everybody and putting this mask on and everybody's happy and whatnot, in reality inside you're like, yo, I'm sad. I don't want to bring this to everybody. I don't even want myself to feel it. So like you're like, so if I bother anybody, like it's gonna like make them feel that way. You know, you don't want to make them feel that way. You don't. You're afraid that you're gonna bring down everybody else and ruin Christmas or ruin New Year's. You know,
and that's like the initial thought. And then it's like, I mean, obviously not.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, like, not.
It's an inside thing, like you said. Like it's that loop that you can't bring back up.
Right. And that's where I think, like, you know, developing, it's mental illness and it's all dealing with the mind, but like being able to like strengthen your mind more, and like go through those exercises of like those loops, and could definitely help without a doubt.
Yeah, it will help. And that's the thing, and recognizing it though, and the fact that you did recognize it, like that's big. And that's another tip that we could use is recognizing when you're going through it, when you feel it, and like you were able to progress with it. You were able to know that like, okay, wow, I'm feeling something different. I've never felt it before. Like let me see what the root of the problem is, or what the root of the sadness is. You know what I'm saying? And that's a hard thing to do.
Right.
That's how
to be introspective.
Yeah, very hard thing to do, especially nowadays. You know, like
people don't want it.
Yeah, people don't
want to deal with it.
Yeah, people don't want to deal with it. You know, they're like, I feel this way. Let me do this. Let me do that. You know, let me try to get this out the way or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I think especially like, and for all those women out there, please leave your comments, whatever you feel. But especially as young men, you know, college men, like that's a hard thing. Like that's a hard thing to be like, yo, I'm hurt, I'm sad.
Feelings.
Yeah, to talk about feelings. Yep. Nobody want to talk about feelings. Y'all better talk about your feelings, because when you start doing that, you're like, there's only one of two things that can happen. You either recognize it, you know, take accountability for it and start addressing it.
Right.
You know, which is very hard. I've had personal experience where I haven't been able to.
Right.
I've made mistakes after it. I've tried to cover my depression up with it, everything like that. Or number two, you can try to act like it's not there. You can play this Mr. Tough guy, like, you know, like, oh, it ain't nothing. Like, you know, when people ask you about it, oh, it don't matter.
Yeah.
But deep down, you going home at the end of the night and you know, you're like, wow, why do I feel this way?
And that's so common.
Very
common. It's almost to the point to where now I can look and be like, all right, if this dude's really out here like trying to act tough, then it's like you got things wrong with you. Like if you are trying to act tough and you're going out of your way to make sure that like your masculinity is felt from everybody, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, and that's where that mask comes in.
Yeah.
And then you start to wear this mask for so long, not only when you're in your early 20s, like you start to wear it all the way up to your 30s. Sometimes even your 40s. Some people, when they're past 50, exactly. And it affects your life. It really does, because, you know, like, it's like, when are you going to address that, bro? Like, when are you really going to take care of that issue you've been dealing with? When are you going to stop letting your ego control your feelings?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because for me, it's been very hard. Yeah. You know, you know a lot of the stuff that, you know, I've gone through and whatnot, and for a long time, like, that ego, that young pride that we all got, you know, that don't want to let anything get in the way, or, you know, oh, I'm going to wipe these tears and I'm good, you know, but, like, it's like, at a point you got to realize I'm not good. Like, I got these issues.
At the center of it, like, all it needs to be, like, self-love. Yeah. Because it's like you've got to be able to take care of yourself. You've got to want to take care of yourself so badly that you won't allow yourself to be degressed by you wearing a mask. Yeah. By you not addressing these things, you're gonna end up in this loop of like just negative things happening and like not progressing as an individual. And you've got to love yourself so much that you want to be intentional with just like your progress as a person. And so whatever that is, dealing with those situations that just tend to come up, like addressing those situations like head on and being proactive about everything. Man,
it's crazy. It can be a crazy
love yourself. You're gonna build and you're gonna get better, and like watching yourself get better. Like
it's like an automatic way to get self-love. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And the fact that you said like you gotta want it, and I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is wanting it in those times, because they feel like they don't deserve nothing. They feel like, you know, like I'm so sad, like I don't deserve to be happy, or I don't deserve to want that. But
that's a crazy place to be.
Yeah, it's a very crazy place. It's hard to want it. It's very hard to want to be like, yo, I gotta take this mask and throw it away. Yeah. Like, you know, it's especially during the holiday season. I can't harp on that enough. During the holiday season, you think that mask is gone. You think you threw it away. You think you dealt with it, and you're like, you peek over in the corner right before you go to that Thanksgiving dinner, grub on some greens and stuff, and you like, let me get this mask back and, you know, throw that John back on real quick. Yeah. So nobody knows. Right. You know, so nobody can tell. Nobody can tell what my feelings are. You know, I'm good. You know, I'm with family. I'm hanging out with all the cousins from out of town. You know, we good. You know, but, and then where does that mask go? That mask goes right back on the ground. Right. And you come right back home and you just looking at it. You just like, man, when is that thing gonna be worn out? It really is. When is it gonna be worn out?
I think what's scary is like people don't realize that they're wearing a mask though.
Yeah.
Like people are so like deep into everything that they're not like, they don't even realize that they're like putting on a mask. Like everything's so natural and like habitual that they're like, they're not even doing it. I think the number one thing is to like I mean, I don't know how introspective people just across the board are, and I just don't know how many people are like trying to like intentionally like love themselves like that, and like that's a scary spot. But to the number one thing is realizing that like, okay, no, like when I'm in this situation, I act this way, and I'm not saying like I think even like the connotation of like mask. I think masks can be good. I know that like that old leaders what's the army general's name, or like the leader of Winston Churchill.
No, Winston Churchill. I was about to say, I was
Winston Churchill. You're like,
hold on, don't give me caught. My military friends would roast me right.
But I know Winston Churchill has written books about like wearing masks.
Yeah.
And just so I think the connotation of mask in general is like negative, and I think masks can lean more towards appropriate when used correctly. But I think people have to recognize that like they're putting masks on and it's hurting them.
Yeah.
And it's not the right way, and they're not being intentional about like, hey, like it's self-destructive. Like they're being self-destructive with the way that they use masks, and I think there's more appropriate ways as well.
Yeah, and at that point it comes to having self-identity. It really does, because if you don't have that self-identity, you let that mask take over. Mm-hmm. That mask gonna stay on. It's gonna stay on permanently, right? And then you're never gonna have the chance to notice or take accountability for what you're feeling sad about, or what's bringing you down during these times, or even why you're not yourself during the holidays. So like, and I think, like you said, a lot of people don't recognize
introspective.
Yeah,
I think across the board, and like I would love to like keep talking to people and like pushing that. It's like, nah, do like a self audit.
Yeah, literally do a self.
What do I like to do? What do I not like to do? Why is this transitional period so rough right now? It's because it's like you don't have clarity about like who you are. You have no clarity about like who you are as a person. Like you don't know you.
Yeah, exactly. Because
and, like you have to beeline, and like when you don't know who you are, there's a lot of like wasted time.
Yeah, a lot.
There's a lot
of wasted time in every aspect.
And like that's fine. Like I mean, I understand, and I have empathy for people who don't do that. Because like, not everybody is like that. But like I just would like to make like a call, like beeline for like self-awareness.
Check yourself before you wreck yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Literally,
it's like literally that. You gotta check yourself. And I think like a way that you could do that, keeping a journal. Like honestly, like keeping a journal, writing down what you're feeling first of all. Right. So then you can look at it and be like, whoa, like I just wrote that down. I did that. Right. The mask is on the ground right now. I'm writing this down. Right. What does this mean? And then analyzing what you're writing down and being like, yo, like, wow, I do got some issues. There is something that I'm upset about, or there is something that's affecting me more than what I think. And then that's when you start to build that character, or you start to build that self-love, that self-identity.
Like, this is who I want to be. Like,
exactly. Whether you're writing down mistakes you made, or whether you're writing down regrets you've made, or whether you're writing down just how you're feeling today and what you're thinking about tomorrow. And it's like, as soon as you do that, that's one step closer. And like that's one step closer to being able to say, I'm feeling this way, let me get out of it, or let me try to go the best way about it. Because some people, they don't ever get out of it, and it's not their fault. Sometimes it's not their fault. You got people that lose entire families. You got people that don't have families at all. You got people that struggle with divorced parents, loss of a sibling, or they argue with a sibling during the holidays, and that's what triggered it. Or they come out the military and they're having a tough transition. And it's like, at that point, those are things that like you can't control. But the only thing you can't control is what you're identifying.
What's going on in your head.
Exactly.
You can control like what you're thinking. You can control like where your focus is. You can control you.
Yeah.
You have to. You have to control you.
Yeah.
You have to. And so like I think people just trying their best, and I love that. Like there's people just doing the best that they can.
Yeah. And
do as good as you can, and like if you're not.
Yeah, you really do.
If you're having those, you're dealing with those emotions, man. Like, you have to like do your best to get out of that mindset.
Yeah,
and keep trying.
Yeah, even when you're stuck in bed, like, you stuck in bed, you're not eating as much, or you're overeating, or like, you're just not being you. Like, you gotta do
it's
your
hard.
best.
It's hard as hell.
It's hard. It's hard as hell. Like, to be there and sit there and be like, yo, like, this bed feels so good, and I'm so sad. Like,
don't want to do anything.
Yeah, let me just chill right now. Yeah. And I get that totally. There's been days where I've been in bed 18 hours, chilling, and I still feel the same way, you know? And as soon as I get up, I'm exhausted. And it's like, why? Yeah. I've been laying down all day. Like, I should be energized, but as soon as I take a step to go to the bathroom or go get something to eat, like, I take a nibble and I come back, I'm like, golly, this thing is emotionally draining. Yeah. And that's what it is. It's emotionally draining.
It's hard, but like, you have to.
Yeah, you gotta do your best
to get through it.
And I think that's a lot of people. A lot of people, like, they don't realize, like, it's not even about trying. It's just about, like, as long as you know that you're giving your best effort, whether it's working or not, that you're making progress. That like, you gotta know you give your best. You gotta give your best in order to make that progress. Never giving up and whatnot. Because people do love you, even though if you don't feel it. People do want you here, even if you don't feel that. And people need you to be here. They need you to feel them, you know, even when you don't, even when it's so hard, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, there's been times where, like, for example, like, me and you know, I've been, man, I can't get up. Like, I ain't just about it. I done lost some weight. I ain't eating as much, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, yo, what I do? And having that presence, like, a friend or, like, a brother or sister or
come play FIFA.
Yeah, come play FIFA or something like that. You know, get something off your mind. And even at those times, sometimes like in my experience, like, it's still in your mind. Even when you're playing FIFA or when you're going out to eat with friends or when you're hanging around people. But the fact that you're doing your best to get through it, that's the thing you gotta recognize. I didn't recognize that for so long, bro. There'd be so many times where I just shut out and say, oh, forget it.
Like, I'm still feeling this way. Like,
exactly.
Nothing's gonna work.
Exactly. Like, I'm down and out. I'm not doing nothing. Forget it. I tried it once and I'm done. It didn't work.
Again, and I think, again, like, it goes back to, like, those loops. So it's like, okay, maybe once I'm in, like on a peak, right? Like, I can recognize that, okay, going to play FIFA was actually really good for me. Like, like in hindsight.
That's why you 6-0 right now. So
you know.
Nah, he's not that good. Don't let him tell you. He got the attributes up and everything
but like, you know, it's recognizing that, like, you know, when you're on a peak, being able to say, yes, FIFA is good for me, even though when I'm in a valley, like, it didn't feel right, like, it didn't feel like it was doing anything. But, like, being able to look back and saying, like, hey, like, you know, that actually helped.
I got it done. I got up and did
right. But it's, like, setting that as, like, okay, if I can get myself to play FIFA when I'm in a valley, then I know, like, that I'm going to be on that positive loop of, like, hey, like, this
what
is
else
gonna
can
be
I do?
Okay. This is going to be okay, right? Because it's, like, setting, like, FIFA as a marker of, like, progression, right? It's like, okay, now I'm on the process. I'm on the train to success, or like being better, so to speak.
And it's that goal setting. It's that step. Yeah. Those little steps can mean so much. Right. Even if you just make a few steps and you stop there, like it's like you were here. Right. You know, you were down here the other day. You right here. Right.
Like it doesn't even matter like what those things are, as long as it's like positive, obviously. Yeah. But even if it's like, okay, you know, I want to get an Instagram post, or I want to like for me it would be like, okay, like post like a couple stories today of like whatever, right? Like that's gonna help you get better, right? Or like go on a photo shoot today, and like that's literally like the only thing that you do. Yeah. It's like go on a photo shoot and you can do whatever the rest of the day, but like go out and like do something. Or like even like make a meal, like make yourself a meal, try a new recipe or something. Like doing those little things, and then especially when you're in the valley, or like when you're on the peaks, and recognizing that like you did these things and then setting those loops. Yeah, I think that's valuable as hell.
That's big. Yeah, it's very valuable. Yeah, bro. It's very valuable. Well, that's our talk about seasonal depression. You know, we talked about everything here from how to deal with it, different ways to go about it, and just experiencing it in different ways, as everybody does, and everybody's gonna go about it a different way as well. But as long as you're making those little steps, like you said, just making those steps, you can be better than you were yesterday and just progress every day and do your best. And that's all that matters at that point, right?
Yeah.
So we appreciate you guys watching. Again, this is Askia Stewart. His everything like that right below. So go ahead and comment and give us any advice you want to see or anything that you think would help through the holiday seasons or any type of seasonal depression, and being able to help you progress and make that positive movement up and being able to stay up and keep going in life rather than just giving up, because you're meant to be here. You're meant to have a purpose here on this earth, and people love you. And we might not even know you. We love you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I appreciate you coming, bro.
Of course, man.
Appreciate you doing that, man. Yeah, and about to get this FIFA in, and we hope you guys enjoyed this interview. It was nice talking to you guys. This is Unscripted. Will Barfield, Askia Stewart Jr., and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you.